Thinking about starting a stationery business, I'm here to help you to avoid the mistakes that I've made, to save you some time, your money, your energy, as well as help you with your mindset around making this decision and just going for it. And in this video, I'm going to be covering a lot of the lessons that I've learned over the years. We're going to get to the nitty gritty. Is it worth your time? Is it profitable? Is it too saturated? We're going to talk about all of it, as well as what I would do differently if I was getting started today. And so if that sounds like something you're interested in, then definitely stay tuned. We're going to dive right into the hard lessons because I feel like this is a lot of times what people don't always want to talk about because it can be uncomfortable. Sometimes it might be embarrassing, but it is real with any type of business that you run. But specifically with a stationery business, I think that the main thing you need to know is that it is a saturated market. Okay, I'm just going to straight up tell you, and it is competitive, but it doesn't mean that you don't have a place there, right? I think that there's always room for anyone. If you have a vision in your mind, if you have something placed within your heart, God puts it there within you for a reason. And I do strongly stand by that. But I do want to just point out that there are so many businesses out there that are selling all of the things that you're probably thinking of. And so I encourage you as you go through it to, look at the different businesses that are out there, get some encouragement, but don't allow it to stop you from feeling like you also have a place within there. But I'm going to keep it real with you. There are a lot of us out here. There are a lot of businesses that are trying to make it. And I feel like the ones that really do the best and that are the most successful and that grow are the people that are willing to be diligent, right? And continue to learn and make changes and continue to promote and show up and keep going no matter what. I have worked with so many women over the years, and the ones that I see that are still standing and still doing their thing, it really just comes down to continuing to believe in yourself and believe in your message and standing behind that and your products and, putting your quality in there and really having a strong why behind it. So while I do feel like this industry is very much saturated, it can be very competitive, and sometimes it can feel like, okay, where do I fit into all of this? But at the end of the day, there is room for everyone. It's just a matter of making sure that when you get your mark, like you make your space and you continue to claim that, right? Continue to be consistent, continue to show up for yourself. Another lesson that I've had to learn over the years and just being in business is that there will be failed launches, okay? There's going to be goals that you want to hit, and I always encourage people to set a goal, whether that's how many you want to sell, how many people you want to convert. You want to track all of your stats because that's the only way to really know if what you're doing is working and if you're growing. But at the same time, be open to the fact that there will be some fails, there's going to be some misses, there's going to be some hard moments and times when you want to give up, honestly, in general. But if you stick with it, right, and you give yourself a chance to brush it off and get back at it, that is the most important thing. I think in being an entrepreneur, that is one of the biggest pieces of advice that I could give to anyone is no matter what type of business it is, you have to be willing to be resilient through it all. You have to continue to show up even when things feel different, like even with our economy and the world, things continue to shift and none of that stuff is in our control. But what we can control is how we show up and what we are willing to do in order to, share our message and get our products out there and do different things. And sometimes that requires you to get uncomfortable. But the reality is there are going to be some failed launches. Things are going to fall a little bit. Things are not always going to go well. And I encourage you to watch a ton of videos on this channel about how to launch properly. Launching is definitely not just posting or talking about it one time. It's definitely going to require you to sell and to continue to talk about it and remind people and post things about it and send out emails and all of those things. But if it's something you strongly believe in and you stand behind what you have created and you have a quality product, then you should have no problem with believing in that enough to want to share that with the world. Like that's what it's all about, right? We're going to create these pretty products and all of these beautiful things. We want to make sure that everybody and their mama sees it. And another hard lesson that I've had to learn is that not everybody is going to be satisfied. As much as I will try to have like the best customer experience, like chef kiss type things, right? Packaging on point, really, really great quality products. You're not always going to have a satisfied customer. As long as you know that you have put your all into making something happen, I just want to encourage you that those things may happen, right? Someone may not like the product that they got, or it may get damaged in the mail and it may not have anything to do with you. Packages get lost, right? Customers will be waiting on something. There might be a delay. You might have life going on and you have a delay, but there's always going to be opportunity for you to improve, right? And to make things right. And so I encourage you, especially early on, anticipate what those things would be like. Think about, okay, if I have a customer that is not satisfied with this product, how would I handle it? Am I going to accept returns? If not, how am I going to make it right? What can I offer to people to make their experience better? Am I going to remake it? Like really just thinking about whatever it may be, because there's so many different umbrellas of stationery, and we're going to talk about a lot of them in an upcoming series that I have. But regardless, there can always be an issue with just anything. Some stuff in our control, a lot of things that aren't in our control, but all you can do is just remember that it's not a reflection on you as the person. It doesn't mean that you don't have a good business. It doesn't mean that your product sucks. Sometimes it just means that there's some things you have to go back to the drawing board, work on, kind of like fix a little bit and make it better for the next time. So now I wanted to quickly touch on some of the industry, kind of just the myths, I guess, of the industry, or just things to know about the stationery industry. One that I really, really need to get out and continue to shout to the rooftops is the way that we spell stationery. Okay, so there's two ways to spell stationery. You have stationery with the E and stationery with the A. Stationery with the A actually means that you are not moving. That is what that means. Stationery with the E is the things we're talking about in this video, paper products, planners, cards, stickers, notepads, all of those things. And so when you are wanting to use that, especially if you have a business in that field or if you are communicating it in any way, please, please, please make sure you're spelling it the right way, because we don't want to be stationary with A, okay? We want to be moving and growing and continue to build our businesses, and the E is the way to go. That is the way to spell it. I remember early on that was something that I learned because my original stationery business was called the Stationery Muse. And so I had to really make sure that I was spelling it right because it was literally the name of my business. And I have seen over the years so many times just the misspelling of it with people in the industry, which is crazy, right? But the more you know. And so I wanted to share that little tidbit first. But another kind of I guess I would say misconception in a way is just that things are very surface level in the stationery industry, and that, everybody's just out, we're making pretty products and everything's very aesthetic and all of that. But from working with hundreds of women over the years to help them start their own businesses, having my own personal business, I can honestly say that there is so much heart and depth behind these pretty businesses that you see, essentially, right? It may be this beautiful gold foil, just beautiful product, right? And the pages are so luxe and smooth and everything. You're like, oh, this is just a really beautiful product. But behind that product is someone that may have had a really hard time in their life, or they had an experience that really changed them, or it completely changed the trajectory of what it was that they wanted to do in life. And now they wanted to create this product to pour into other people or to encourage someone. There are so many women out there that have powerful stories, experiences, loss, and they are pouring it into these beautiful products, right? The quality products that we see. And so I think it's just honestly realizing, and even for you, if you're thinking about doing this, is that it is okay to lean into your story. I think that is what really makes you unique, right? Especially amongst the sea of all of the people having these businesses, you have your story and your experiences, and that is what makes you so special, right? And so when you're thinking about that, how can I stand out tell your story, right? How did you get into this? I highly doubt it's just because you think stuff is pretty. Like, I think you have a bit more depth to you and you have something to share. And there's a reason why it's been placed on your heart. And so I just encourage you, when you are out there and you are making an impact, and remember that there are people that you are touching with every product that you ship out. Remember that the messages, the prayers, the heart behind all of it, it's so much more than pretty products. If this video has been helpful for you so far, make sure you check out some of the previous series that I have on my channel, including this one that is kicking off right now as well. At the top of the year, I always like to start a stationery business series, and so check them out. Tons and tons of information to get you going. I'll make sure I have everything linked in the description. Okay, so now let's get into where I feel a lot of people can get hung up or just stuck in general, right? Of just kind of like, all right, I don't know what makes the most sense. Is this really worth my time? Is there really money in this? And I think it's important for us to have this discussion. I'm going to just straight up say it is not cheap to run a stationery business, especially if you are going in with the intention of wanting to create quality products and have, a luxe customer experience, right? And typically if you are into paper products, you definitely do have maybe like a bouginess to you, right? Or you have a standard that you really want to uphold, whether that's with the paper or the packaging that you give when people get their orders. There's always going to be some level of something, and all of that comes with a cost. Those gold coils and the foil and the luxe boxes and just all of the things, they come with a cost, right? And so I think that it goes without saying that because of that, it can sometimes make it hard for you to make a profit depending on the decisions and things that you make. And so it really depends on how you are approaching this business, because I feel like you can kind of come at it from a couple of different angles. If you are wanting to get started, maybe you have very little money that you're getting started with, but you really just want to kind of get your foot out there. There are things as simple as just getting started on like Amazon KDP. And even though that is such a very easy thing to get into, and it's something you could literally do in an afternoon if you wanted, it's not the highest quality product. And even myself, like, I will be getting some of my stuff on there very soon. So I think it's a great option if you are trying to think in terms of like different streams of income for your business. But I definitely wouldn't stop there, especially if your dream is to have a little bit more of like a premium product that you want to work towards. And that could be anything. Specifically, Amazon KDP does more like books and journals and different things like that, low content things. And it's a great thing to get your foot in the door and get started. Lulu is another really good example of this. You could do the fulfillment yourself with that one, but those are some really good kind of entry level things as well. Another one that I've mentioned on this channel many, many times before is Stationery HQ. And I feel like Stationery HQ really takes it up a level because now you're getting into more like coils, and they have different material options, hardcovers. And Stationery HQ, y'all, is honestly, I could not make a video like this without mentioning them, because they were one of the first companies back 10 years ago when I got started and I wanted to outsource some of the products I was making, like my cards that I was doing and notepads and different things, my journals. They have very, very nice quality products, but there's not a ton of customization available with those. But I would definitely check them out because there's so much that you can gain from working with a company like that, because they're here in the US. I am based in the United States, by the way. I know that there are people all over that sometimes may catch my videos. So these things will be pertaining more to the US, but definitely look into, if it's available within your country to ship from there, or find similar things that are near you. But all of this that I'm basically saying is that it comes down to figuring out, what is your overall goal? You can either go into this and get started right away with some of those things that I mentioned, and you may be kind of either taking a little bit of a backseat on some of the quality you may be looking for. You might be paying a little bit more because it's made here in the US. Like anytime you work with any type of manufacturer in the US, the cost is going to be a little bit more, especially with stationery products. Or you could look at another type of manufacturer that would be overseas, right? And so that might be something like all of the companies that you'll see if you go on a site like Alibaba, and you'll see that they have all of the different things that you can get, and they have the different embellishments and the add-ons and the luxe boxes and all of those things. things. And so it just depends on what you want to do. But do I feel like you can make money in this business? I do, but I think that you shouldn't put your eggs in one basket. So I do not just think you should just simply make your stationery business and just stay online. I think you should be branching out. You should be getting in markets within your local area, signing up for different vendor events where you can sell and get out there and meet people and put products in their hands so they can feel them. You definitely should take opportunities to network with other businesses to be able to share in different ways. Try to get into some boutiques if you can, and eventually work up to wholesale. These are some things that I have done in some aspects, and a lot of them that I have not, right? And so I really want you to look at it as an opportunity to figure out like, okay, what are all of the different ways I can make money? Amazon is a great way to have that as a stream of income. You might be on Etsy. You might have your own Shopify store. I think the more that you have available to you, and it doesn't mean on day one, I don't want to say that either. Don't feel like on day one you need to have all these things in place, but I would slowly start to work up to having different streams of income for your stationery business. And I most definitely think that you will be very successful. Also, if you want to even have something that's a little bit more of a stability piece to it, having a subscription box. I had a subscription box for quite a few years, and I really loved that. And that was a great way to kind of have some predictable income for my business as well. So that's something to consider too. You could do a monthly or a quarterly box, or however often you want it to be. And even with me, like I ended up dipping into coaching a little bit, and that was another way for me to kind of make even more income within my business. So there's a lot of different ways that you can make money in this industry. It just comes down to your interests, your energy level, how much you're willing to put in, your comfort level when it comes to just people and selling and different things. But yes, there is money to be made, but you have to be willing to go for it, right? It's not going to just come to you. So you can't just put a product on your store, maybe post something, maybe not, and then hope that the money is going to be there, because I'm going to tell you that it's not going to come that easily. And also your pricing is going to matter as well. So if you are pricing your stuff too low because you want to be affordable, you're going to lose money. And that's just the reality, because especially like think about it, when sales come up, right? It's time for a Black Friday sale or any type of sale. And now you have pretty much priced yourself to the point where you're not making anything because you're trying to keep it so low. So that's another thing that you want to consider as well as you start looking into all of these different options and you see what the hard cost is to make this product. You want to consider like, okay, I actually want to get paid for my design, for my time doing this, for how I'm making it, especially if you're making stuff by hand. You definitely want to be getting paid for your time, right? And so those are all things to consider when you are pricing your products as well. And so as you are looking into that, look around at people in your industry that are kind of in a similar boat as you in terms of kind of like the overall feel that you want to have for your business, whether it's looks, if you want it to be a bit more affordable, different options and alternatives as you start to get quotes and price different things. And you really want to play around with it, right? You can always change your prices and things. You can always change your prices, but I would just say never start so low that you are literally making pennies on the dollar, because that's not what we want. And then another thing within this area that I just wanted to touch on as well is timelines. So if you do decide to work with one of those manufacturers overseas, keep in mind that it is overseas and there is a process that goes into that. And so if you're working with like a domestic company, you might be looking at something being able to be ready for you in as little as 4 to 6 weeks. But if you're working with a company that's overseas, it could be 4 to 6 months, right? And so you really want to make sure that you are timing everything appropriately. Like if you are thinking about, oh, I'm trying to launch a planner in the fall, or whatever the case is, you really want to be planning like 6 to 8 months out, even a year out if possible, right? And I know that sounds crazy, but if you're working with a manufacturer and you want to make sure that the time for it to get back over here to you works out, it's so important that you do it the earlier the better. But also doing it the earlier the better will only benefit you, because that gives you time to really have an intentional launch behind what you're doing. It will give you the time to really build up your audience and get out there, to get known and putting your products and things out there. And it just gives you time, right? Who wants to be rushing and having to just be constantly, like trying to, put things in place and it's like at the last minute? We don't want that, right? And so the earlier you can plan things out, always try to be at least 3 to 6 months ahead of yourself. If you're manufacturing, even longer than that. And that will really set you up for success, so that you are ready as all of the different milestones within the year come up and your business is going to be ready to hit the ground running with those. So always be thinking about things ahead of time as you are getting into it. My last point that I want to touch on is what I would do differently if I was getting started today, and just overall as a reflection of my own personal journey. And I could go on, but I'm really going to keep it short with this because I'm going to be filming some future videos, kind of going more in depth. So definitely subscribe, stay tuned, and all the things. But the first thing I will say is I really wish that I would have kept my eye on my business. It's so easy with social media and the way that things are to lose sight of what you're doing and staying in your lane. And I fell victim to that time and time again in all of the different iterations of my business, from even the very beginning when I was selling A5 planner inserts to when I started doing cards. I've done so many different things. Subscription boxes, I've had planners, journals, I've done notepads of all different kinds, sticky notes. Literally pretty much just about any paper product you can think of, I have done. And I've always compared myself, right? The person here, this is the Inspire Blueprint, right? I'm always here to inspire, but I'm also here to keep it real, right? Like, I'm not perfect. I fall victim to all of those things as well. And so if I could tell my past self, or you as someone who's getting started, is just try your best to stay in your lane. While I think it's important to stay up on the competition, or, the people that are in the industry and what they're doing, I do also think that it can be unhealthy at times if you're constantly comparing, right? You're always trying to like one up, or you want to look at what you have and feel like it's not good enough, right? Especially when it's at step one and someone has been doing this for however many years and you're feeling like you're behind. I just want to encourage you in that you're going to have those moments where you feel that, especially, if you go to shows. I remember I did a craft fair, and I had worked so hard on my setup, but I didn't have a ton of money to invest in like all of the bells and whistles, to make it amazing and have like the big, I don't even know what you call them, like the curtain rod things set up, and like all of the really fancy setups to have my journals displayed and stuff. I got some budget items, okay? And it looked amazing. I'll pop a picture in from when I did it. But there were so many people that have been doing it for years, and it was easy to compare myself to them and be like, oh, wow. And, they got like a wooden thing set up over here, and oh, look at them. And it felt very hard not to compare and be down on myself, even though I worked so hard to prepare for that craft fair and make it so amazing, right? And so I think the biggest thing with it is just to make sure that you just try not to compare. And I know it's easier said than done, but that's one thing that I do regret, and I would definitely do differently, is I would try to view it as more of an opportunity to just see what's out there, put some feelers out there, use it as inspiration, but do not use it as a reflection on myself. Another thing that I would have done differently is I would have been more involved locally. I would have done way more craft fairs and shows. I did one, and it did not go well. And it wasn't even really my fault. The company that did the craft fair, it was also, I think, their first time putting it on, if I remember correctly. Y'all, this was back in 2019, I believe. So it's been a while. But after it happened, it didn't go very well. And I felt very much like a failure in that. I put so much energy and time into preparing for it, and I did not make very much money. Like, at all. Okay. I made some connections with people, with the businesses, which is another really great thing about doing those types of events, because you get to network with people and other businesses, which is always going to be a bonus. But I really used that experience, and I never did another one, y'all. Like, never. Okay. Like, it kind of turned me away from them, and I regret that. And so as I'm getting back into what I'm doing now, and I'm really leaning back into my products and getting back, that's something that's going to be at the top of my list, is wanting to get back into getting out in the community, meeting other businesses, networking, and also, being in participating in some of the markets and the craft fairs and things, because not only is it a great way to bring in profit, but it just continues to make a name for your brand outside of just online. And I think that was something that I kind of just got so consumed in being an online business that I kind of forgot about in-person things. And it's just the honest truth. It's easy to just be focused on the e-commerce side of things, but there's so much more opportunity when you look beyond that. And that's definitely something that I would have done differently for sure. And I encourage you to do it and have it as part of your business plan, as something to work up to or to start with, depending on what your goals are. You'll want to make sure that that's on the list. And then the last thing, just to like tie it up in a little neat bow, is I know I've mentioned that I've helped many women. And I ran a coaching business for quite a few years, and that still exists today. But I will say I'm a little bit sad because I think that overall, because I fell into coaching and I really got into that, and that was never my intention to do at all. I just simply started this channel sharing me starting my stationery business. That's literally what it was. And I was showing, my unboxings and my vlogs of doing my subscription box and all of the different things that I was getting into. And I naturally kind of fell into this coaching bucket. And as the years went on, I more and more leaned into the coaching side. And I kind of let my business slip away, like my own personal stationery business. And so that would be, I guess, one of the last things I would do differently is that if you find yourself at a crossroads where it's pulling you away from your original dream, I think that there's a time and a place for things. And I do not feel like that season of life was wasted, because when I tell you it's been such a blessing to work with all of the women that I have worked with and helped and seen so many people bring their visions to life, like God is so good for that. And it's been such an amazing ride, and I'm still excited to continue to help people. But I definitely have a different outlook now as I'm getting back into things, and I really want to pour back into my own business. And I'm excited to share that here on my channel. And so that's what I would have done differently, is just that I wouldn't have allowed me now becoming a coach to stop me from continuing to pursue my own dreams of having my business. And so, that is definitely some of the things that I would have done differently. And if after watching this video, you are still serious about wanting to start a stationery business, which I hope you are, I really always like to encourage, but I always like to keep it real as well, because I never want anybody to get into something without having a pretty good idea of what they can expect. But I did create a stationery starter toolkit. This is something that I have poured in a lot of just different tools and resources and things that I have just learned over the years of someone that has not only coached many, many people doing it, but also just with my own experiences. And in it, I have a very in-depth video that I really recorded as if I'm sitting right next to you while you go through this, a workbook that is going to walk you through all of the different things you need to think about, from what you want to actually sell to start with, what is going to be the concept of this, and then getting into your pricing and how all of that works and what to sell on and all of the things. We're going to talk about all of the ins and outs on there. It also includes a 90-day roadmap, so you have a very clear path of how you are going to get from it being in your head all the way to holding it in your hand. And it also includes a checklist that is going to give you the different phases that you're going to walk through, so that you have a little thing you can kind of tick off along the way to make sure that you are staying on track. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, if you really want to have a little bit more hand holding in these next weeks and months as you are getting into this, check it out. It's $27. The link is down in the description. And I really think it's going to help you and bless you in this next phase of what you're getting ready to do. I wish you all of the best of luck. And lastly, if you enjoyed this video, definitely comment down below. If you got your wheels turning and you have some ideas and things, let me know. What are you planning to create for your business? If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments. I will be happy to help you. And while you're at it, if you're wanting to continue on with watching something, then definitely check out this video right here. I think it'll be very helpful for you in the next steps as you are getting started. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.